Hello, all the gorgeous people on the internet. I am Divyanshu, and today we will be implementing GraphQL. So, basically, let's understand what GraphQL is. A GraphQL is nothing, it is just a query language that asks the API to send a specific set of data. So, in this course, we will be implementing GraphQL with Node.js, but there is a catch. 80% of GraphQL that we will be learning in this series is going to remain the same, but 20% will depend based on the technology that you guys will be working on. One more thing that you guys need to make sure, behind the scene there is a graph that is being created for GraphQL, and you can understand now why it is called graph query language. Okay, the for this we are using Apollo server package. The reason being, we are using Apollo server package to implement GraphQL. We need a schema and a server. So for that we will be using Apollo server. Okay, so before I start with, I want to tell you the topics that we will be covering in this video. Number one is the query, number two is the resolvers, number three is the arguments and inputs, number four is the mutation. This is for this video. In the future, we will be learning advanced SQL, SQL testing, pagination, these sort of things. Okay, so I'll try to make it as short and as informative as possible. So let's get started. So I created a folder GraphQL right now. You can name it whatever you want. Inside that, I am creating a file. Okay, demo.js. So the reason I named it demo.js because I am creating a demo project in front of you guys. So basically, to make GraphQL working, what we need a schema and a server. As discussed earlier, we will be using Apollo server, right? And for the schema, we will do that in this demo.js file, and we will be connecting the schema and server as well. Okay, so in the demo.js file, I am creating a card details project, a very basic project, just to give you idea how the things actually work when we work with live projects. Okay, so inside the demo.js, let's install a package first. So I'm importing const GraphQL equals to require GraphQL tag. So this is the package that we need to install. Just open the terminal, write npm install. I is the short form of install. GraphQL tag --c. That's it. Press enter. So this will get added over here. Package.json. This is added now. Okay, that's it. Now let's move further. Okay, since this is done, now the next task is to create a schema, right? So let's create that. Okay, the auto generator did that for me. You can use that auto generator. This is called GitHub Copilot. Okay, uh, type devs equals GraphQL backticks. Okay, inside that backticks we will be passing a string format. Basically it contains the schema that we need, or the string that is generated. What GraphQL does, it has something like AST that gets converted into the GraphQL readable format. Okay, that's pretty much it. Okay, inside this, let's create a type first. Okay, type for right now I am calling it card details. Inside the card details, let's give it a name, a string, give it a model, give it a year. So the auto generator is doing this for me, but you can write it manually as well. Nothing out of the box over here, right? Let's give it models. So I am creating an array over here just to give you a better idea of some topics. Okay, inside this array we can have multiple car details objects basically. So there is one thing that you should know. At this point in time, name colon string, this value can be null, but in certain scenarios, let's say for id, we want it to be, we don't want it to be null, right? So what we can do is we can put exclamation mark over there, and that makes that field required in GraphQL. Okay, one more thing, you might be wondering why I am not using commas. So just remember that this is not JavaScript. Okay, This is GraphQL's own set of language that they are using. This is not JavaScript, so we are not going to use any commas over here. Okay. One more thing, in this model array, basically, if I put the exclamation mark in the end, that states that this has to be an array. Okay. If I put this inside, basically, let's say I give a car details, okay, type, and make it required, basically. Okay, so what it does, it can't be empty. This will take care of that field. Okay, that's how things will work. Okay, now the type is created. It's a time to create our query. Okay, so basically what a query is, it's a type on a schema that defines operations client can perform to access the data, basically. So what it does, we will be executing a query, and with the help of resolvers we will be getting our data. So once I execute this, you will get a better idea of how things are actually working. So let's do that. Create a type query, mistake. Okay, inside that I am giving it a name, let's say car details, and the type, basically this is the type. I make this field required for now. One thing over here you should remember, this is by default in GraphQL. So the query term, the query keyword is by default in GraphQL. So when the GraphQL reads that schema for us, it makes sure that if query exists, this is going to be the query that they need. But if we want to change the name of it, we can do that too. Okay, so what we have to do is, we have to name it other way and define it to the GraphQL as well, that we change the name from query to any other name. But to be honest, this is not recommended. Okay, we should not do that. For the mutations as well, the same thing applies. We should not change the name. If it is query, let it be. Okay, so now that's it for the schema part. Let's create our resolvers now. Okay, so basically what a resolver is, let's talk about that thing first. Okay, resolvers are the functions that are responsible for returning the response that we need. Okay, so let me execute this, and then you will get a better idea of what I am talking about. Okay, let's write const. Okay, the auto generator did that for me. Const resolvers, query, sorry. Okay, inside there is query, we have car details. Okay, and yep. Okay, now we will be returning the data. Okay, so this is the auto generator that makes a data for myself, but what we have to pass in, the name, the model, the year, and inside this models. So what this models field is, let's consider there is a product called Toyota Fortuner. Okay, in Toyota Fortuner there can be a lot of models, let's say a base model, a middle model, and the top variant. So for these models we will be creating and storing those values over here. Okay, so that's why these fields is, the auto generator did it for myself, so I'm using that. You can type that manually. Okay, the name, the model, the year, and inside this models we are having more information. Okay, let's call it M5M. Okay, so that's it for resolvers. So what it has, it will gives us this response basically when we execute our query. I'll show that to you, just wait for some minutes. Okay, now we are done with our resolvers, we are done with our schema, and we are done with our query as well. Now it's a time to connect the schema in the server and execute it. Let's do that. So for that, if you are using any other technology apart from the Node.js which I am using, you can go ahead and use that. Okay, the basic syntax will remain the same for those technologies. For Node.js, this is the way we have to take care of things. Okay, server equals to new Apollo server, and inside this server there are two things that we need to pass. First is the type defs, and second thing is the resolvers. Okay, now it's the time to set the port number. So let's give it server dot listen. Let's give it 4000 for now. Okay, then basic node.js that we will be using, console.log server is running at 4000. So I think that's pretty much it, but we missed one thing. We didn't install the Apollo server, right? So let's do that first. Okay, const, oh, what I did, Apollo server. Now, yeah, that's it. We have to install that as well. So for that, the similar command that we run, just change the GraphQL tag to Apollo server. Hit enter. Now it started installing. Be better. So let's go to the package.json. JSON apollo.server. Yep, it is installed. Now it's the time to run it. Okay, to run it, let's write node demo.js. Oh, okay, what happened? Oh, sorry, I just save it. Okay, server is running at port 4000. Now let's do that. Localhost 4000. You can see that this is the beautiful UI that we will see once the Apollo server is connected. Just query your server. It will take few seconds. And now this is created. Okay, I don't know why this data is coming in. Maybe some previous things that I will be doing. Okay, let's remove that for now. Okay, let's go to the schema first. Okay, in the car details, we have a model, we have a name, we have year. Okay, so this is what we created, right? Okay, now let's move here and execute our query. By default, what GraphQL reads is, so it's there are different things like mutations and queries. So by default, if I didn't give anything over here on the top, let's say if I didn't define it's a query, by default GraphQL reads it to be as a query. Okay, let's say if I go back, no, it didn't work. We have to do that manually. Okay, what's the name that I have given? I give it car details. Okay, just copy this. Inside this car details, let's say we want to get the name. Okay, let's run this. We get the name BMW, which we give over here. Let's, if we want to change that value, we will do that when we will be learning mutations. Okay, just wait for that. So that worked actually, right? If we want models, we can get that too, models, and let's say we want a name. Let's run that. We get the names. Okay, that's pretty much it. If we want a model, we can do that too. Oh, sorry, model. Run that. X5 X5N. So this is for the query and resolvers. Now it's a time to move to the arguments and inputs. Okay, let's say we have to pass our arguments over here, right? So let's do that. Inside the schema, we will be creating our input. Okay, and we are calling it, let's say, car details input for now. Okay, inside that car details input, we have one field, let's say string. Okay, we are making that field required. You, if you want, you can. If you want to try it without making that field required, you can do that too. And giving it a name, let's give it a model, and let's give it a year as well for now. Okay, and we will be passing it over here actually, input. So this is the basic syntax for that. Okay, and pass the card details input, and over here we will be passing our input. Okay, just to confirm what we will be getting, we have to change that value as well. So let's name it input dot name for now. Okay, so we get a better idea of what we will be passing, and the details we will be passing is through the client, basically the UI, the Apollo server UI. Looks good to me. Now let's save it and run that. Okay, I have to restart that. Let's do that. Looks good to me. Okay, let's refresh it. Okay, some of you must be wondering how we will do it. Let's just see the output over here. Okay, we have one thing that is name. The second thing that we have is the model, and the third thing that we need is the year, I guess. We'll recheck that, and let's say year, give it 2014. Okay, name instead of BMW, let's give it Audi. D, and the model, let's say RS8 for now. I think that's it. Let's confirm that. Name, model, year. Looks good to me. Let's run that. We will be we'll getting the models. No, we need the name. Okay, run. We get Audi. Okay, and over here is the input dot name, and if we pass, let's say Merc, let's try that too. So this is updated. So that's how the argument and input type things works. Okay, now we move ahead to the last part, which is the mutation. Okay, so in the mutation, it is as I discussed, if we have to change the name of mutation keyword, then we have to define it, but we are not doing this in this video. So let's give it mutation. Okay, for the mutation, what basically, let's understand what mutation is first, right? So that you get a better idea of what it is actually. So basically, it's a type on a schema that defines operations client can perform. Basically, what the as the word says, mutate. So it mutate the data. We can create, we can update, or we can delete. Okay, these sort of functions we can perform with this. Okay, so I'll tell you how the create works, then you guys should try the update and delete functionality, and we will discuss that in our next video. Okay, so let's do that. In the mutation that we have created, now let's create car data and give it car details input. We'll tweak that. Let's give it card details input for now. Okay, the card details input is the input that we will be passing. It has name, model, and year. Okay, that's it. And this is not going to be inside any query. It's a separate thing, so we will put it separately. Okay, mutation. We create car data, and we will be passing our input as we did that over here with the car data. Similar thing, nothing different, right? And we will return our input. Make sense? Okay, nothing different. Just save it, restart your server. Oh, what happened? Let's see what's the error. Mutation defined in resolvers but not in schema. So if we see over here, I did a small mistake. Okay, it's mutation, not mutation. Okay, so that's it. I think that should work now. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that worked. Now let's refresh. Okay, it is taking my. Now let's replace the query with mutation field, right? And this is not car details over here, this is create car data, right? To learn more, if you want to, you can go ahead to the documentation of the GraphQL. That will help you in a lot more ways. Okay, we are using the same details, Mercedes. In the model, it can be, let's say, GLS for now, year 2014, and what we want is a name. Let's get the model. Okay, let's run that. We get our desired output. So that's how the mutation thing works. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. You must have find that quite easy, right? So the reason being, this is just the beginner part of it. Since we move ahead to the intermediate part, which is the advanced SDL thing, you will get a better understanding of certain things. And one more thing to tell you guys, GraphQL is quite effective in some sense, but when you are creating a schema dynamically, don't use GraphQL. Okay, if I'll tell you in the next one why when we will be executing advanced SDL thing. So guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you like this video. Share it with your friends if you find it helpful. Follow me on Instagram at the rate 404 underscore nothing found. We will meet next week. Till then, goodbye. Take care.